They thought they understood combat until they started a war with foreigners. Best HFY Stories Part 1, First Contact and First Mistake. Deep space was quiet near the outer edge of the Arden Corridor. Long rivers of stars stretched across the dark. Trade ships from many worlds passed through this region, always careful, always respectful. This space belonged to the Varun Dominion. The Varun believed they understood combat better than any other species in the galaxy. They studied war the way scholars studied math. Every battle was planned, every movement was measured. They did not fight with anger, they fought with order. Far from that region on Earth, humanity had only recently learned how to travel faster than light. Their ships were not the strongest. Their weapons were not the most powerful, but humans were curious. They wanted to explore. The exploration cruiser Horizon drifted out of jump space with a flash of pale light. Its hull was silver and marked with the blue symbol of the United Earth Fleet. Inside the bridge stood Captain Daniel Brooks. He was a quiet man in his early 40s. His brown hair was short. His eyes were calm and careful. Beside him stood Commander Lisa Grant, his first officer. She was sharp and focused, always watching the screens. She trusted numbers, but she also trusted instinct. At the engineering console below deck worked Ethan Cole. He was young, smart, and often smiling, even during stressful moments. He treated machines like friends. In communications sat Lieutenant Maya Clark, who could speak 3 human languages and understood alien code patterns better than anyone on the ship. In the small marine bay waited Sergeant Ryan Parker and his unit of 12 soldiers. Captain Brooks looked at the star map. "New system ahead," Lisa said. "No recorded claim, no known traffic." "Let's keep scans active," Daniel replied. "We observe first, no sudden moves." The horizon moved forward slowly. Its sensors swept across nearby planets. One world showed signs of old mining activity. Another had a thin atmosphere with strange energy readings. Maya adjusted her headset. "Captain, I am picking up a signal." "Origin?" Daniel asked. "Unknown, it is structured, repeating pattern, not natural." Lisa turned to him. "Someone lives here." Before Daniel could answer, space in front of them shifted. 3 massive ships appeared from hidden warp fields. They were dark, sharp-edged, and shaped like blades pointing forward. Glowing lines ran across their hulls like veins of light. Maya's voice dropped. "They are locking sensors on us." On the central screen appeared symbols that no one understood. "Translation?" Daniel asked. "Working," Maya said quickly. "The language structure is complex, very formal." A sharp pulse hit the horizon. The ship shook. "They fired a scan beam," Ethan's voice came from engineering. "No damage." A new signal came through. Harsh tones filled the bridge speakers. Maya listened carefully. "I think it is a warning." "Put it on text," Lisa said. Symbols appeared on the screen, slowly changing as Maya's software guessed at meanings. Unauthorized vessel, state purpose, withdraw or face correction. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Open channel, tell them we are explorers, peaceful mission." Maya transmitted the message. "This is Captain Daniel Brooks of the United Earth Fleet. We mean no harm, we request dialogue." There was silence for several seconds. Then the alien ships shifted formation. They formed a straight line, perfect spacing, perfect alignment. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "they are charging weapons." Another pulse struck, this time harder. Lights flickered across the bridge. "Minor shield loss," Ethan reported. "They are testing us." The translation updated. "Non-compliance detected. Correction authorized." "They think we are refusing," Maya said. "Our translation might be wrong." Daniel made a quick decision. "Power down forward weapons, boost shields, maintain position." The horizon dimmed its weapon systems. Its engines glowed softly as shields strengthened. For a moment the alien ships did nothing. Then a bright beam shot across space. The impact slammed into the horizon's side. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew from a console. One crew member fell to the floor. Hull breach deck 4, Ethan shouted. Sealing compartments now. Shields at 60%, Lisa said. Daniel held his chair tightly. His voice stayed calm. They are not trying to destroy us, they are trying to disable us. Why? Maya asked. Maybe to capture us, Lisa answered. Another beam fired, stronger this time. The ship shook harder. Gravity flickered for half a second. We cannot take many more hits, Ethan warned. Daniel's mind raced. Fighting directly would mean destruction. The alien ships were larger and better armed, but retreating might make them fire more. He looked at the tactical display. The alien ships stayed in perfect formation. Their movements were smooth and predictable. Ethan, Daniel said, can you reroute engine power through shield buffers? There was a short pause. That is not standard. Can you do it? Yes, but it will stress the system. Do it. Lisa understood immediately. You want a short burst jump, Daniel nodded. We will not charge drives in a normal way, we will spike them. Another blast struck the horizon. This one tore through part of the outer hull. Smoke filled one corridor. Marines moving to damage control, Sergeant Ryan reported over comms. His voice was steady. We have injured but no fatalities. Maya's eyes widened. New message incoming. She read quickly. Surrender for containment. Resistance will increase correction level. Daniel felt a cold weight in his chest. Surrender meant unknown fate. He could not risk his crew. Ethan's status. Rerouting complete, engines unstable. Lisa, prepare jump coordinates, short range, random vector. Lisa entered numbers fast. Ready. The alien ships began charging another weapon. Bright energy gathered at the front of each vessel. Now, Daniel ordered. Ethan pushed power through the engines in a sharp spike. The horizon shook violently. Lights burst along the ceiling. For a second, space twisted. The alien beam fired, but the horizon vanished just before impact. The cruiser reappeared far from the corridor, drifting near an empty patch of space. Systems flickered. Emergency lights glowed red. Drive offline, Ethan said, breathing hard. We cannot jump again soon. Casualty report, Daniel asked. 3 injured, Ryan answered. All stable. Maya removed her headset slowly. They are not following. I see no pursuit. Silence filled the bridge. Lisa looked at Daniel. We were not ready for that. No, he agreed softly. We were not. Far away, in the heart of the Varun fleet, Commander Zerk Tal stood on the bridge of his flagship. His skin was pale gray. His eyes were narrow and focused. His uniform was dark and marked with silver lines that showed his rank. He watched the empty space where the human ship had been. Explain, he said to his tactical officer. Target vessel executed non-standard escape maneuver, the officer replied. Probability of success was low. Yet it succeeded, Zerk said. He replayed the battle data. The human ship had powered down weapons instead of firing. It had endured correction beams longer than expected. Then it had performed an unstable jump that ignored safe parameters. Primitive, one officer said. Reckless. Zerk did not answer at once. No, not reckless. Adaptive. He turned toward the communication chamber. Send report to the Dominion Council. Unknown species encountered. Technological capability moderate. Behavioral pattern irregular. Potential future threat. The officer hesitated. Threat level. Zerk watched the data again. The humans had not fought with discipline. They had not followed logical surrender steps. They had acted outside prediction models. Elevated, he said. Back aboard the damaged Horizon, Captain Brooks stood in the medical bay. He watched doctors treat injured crew members. Sergeant Ryan helped a wounded Marine sit upright. They will recover, the doctor said. Daniel nodded. Good, Lisa joined him. We recorded everything, their ships, their language, their weapons. Send a full report to Earth, Daniel said. Mark it urgent. Do you think this was a misunderstanding? She asked quietly. Yes, he answered. But I also think they did not care if it was. Hours later, the Horizon limped back toward human space using slow travel. In Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Nathan Scott studied the incoming data. He was older, with silver hair and sharp eyes. He watched the recording of the alien formation. Straight lines, perfect distance, identical timing. "They fight like machines," he said. An aide nodded. "Should we prepare a diplomatic mission?" "Yes," Scott replied. "And a defense plan." He leaned back in his chair. "They thought disabling one small ship would send a message," he said softly. "They may not understand who they just met." Far across the stars, the Dominion Council received Zerk Tal's report. Tall figures in dark chambers reviewed the data. The humans were new, inexperienced, but unpredictable. Some council members argued that the humans were weak and should be corrected now. Others suggested observation. Zerk spoke firmly. "Their survival proves flexibility. Flexibility grows. If ignored, it becomes resistance." After long debate, the council made its choice. Authorization granted for strategic containment. In simple terms, it meant war preparation. And neither side truly understood the other. Humans believed they had escaped a mistake. The Varun believed they had identified a problem. Both were wrong. The first shot had already been fired. And the galaxy was about to learn that understanding combat was very different from surviving it. The human colony in the Arden system was small. Domed habitats covered a frozen planet. Children played in enclosed parks. Scientists monitored energy readings from nearby asteroids. Farmers grew food in controlled fields. The colony was peaceful, unaware of the storm approaching. Then sensors picked up movement. Massive shapes appeared in orbit. 3 Varun warships descended silently, glinting in the weak sunlight. The humans had never seen ships this size. Each one was longer than the colony's main dome by 10 times. Each bristled with weapons. Governor Helen Moore stared at the display. Her hands shook. She was a small woman, early 40s, but her voice was firm. "Prepare for evacuation protocols. Notify all stations. Call the fleet." Back on Earth, Admiral Nathan Scott received the alarm. His office was tense. He rubbed his temples. "They are moving faster than we thought," he muttered. He called Commander Lisa Grant. She had been promoted to captain of the light cruiser Venture. Captain Daniel Brooks served as her strategic advisor. Ethan Cole and Maya Clark were with her on the bridge. Sergeant Ryan led a small Marine detachment on board. "We are outnumbered," Lisa said over the comms. "We cannot meet them head-on." "We never fight head-on," Daniel replied. He studied the tactical map. "We have to use what they will not expect: speed, misdirection, terrain." The plan was risky. The Varun believed in straight lines and predictable patterns. Their fleet formations followed strict timing. Every attack was synchronized. Humans intended to break those patterns. They split the ships into smaller groups. Some ships hid behind asteroids. Others used debris as cover. The Venture moved slowly, as if retreating. Engineer Ethan had modified mining drones from the colony. They now carried small explosives and sensors. The Varun sensors ignored them, assuming they were harmless. Sergeant Ryan briefed his Marines. "We will board any ship that slows down or drifts near the colony. Follow orders, improvise if needed. Humans win because we think, not because we fight by rules." As the Varun ships approached, they fired their first volleys. Bright energy pulses hit the colony's defensive satellites. The domes shook. Alarms screamed. "They expect a straightforward defense," Daniel said quietly. "We will give them something else." The human ships did not counterattack immediately. They waited behind asteroids, using shadows as shields. The drones floated in patterns meant to lure Varun fire. When the enemy adjusted, explosions suddenly erupted, disabling small warships and supply vessels. Lisa took a deep breath. "Ready the boarding teams." The first Varun ship slowed, damaged by hidden drones. Sergeant Ryan led his Marines. They boarded the vessel through a docking port. The Varun soldiers expected a direct fight. Instead, humans attacked unpredictably. Some Marines set traps, others used improvised charges. The Varun were confused. They trained for perfect order. Humans moved in chaos. One Marine would distract while another disabled systems. Soldiers fell back, then reappeared from unexpected corridors. Their tactics made no sense to the disciplined aliens. Back in space, Captain Grant coordinated attacks. She used false signals, jamming, and decoys. Human ships appeared in places the Varun did not expect. When one ship seemed lost, it reappeared in a flanking position. They cannot adjust fast enough, Daniel noted. They will break formation soon. The Varun flagship fired repeatedly. Their beams cut through asteroids and empty space. Yet human maneuvering caused each strike to miss critical targets. Explosions rocked the smaller Varun ships, and supply lines were severed. Inside the colony, Governor Helen monitored the sky. She saw small human fighters darting from dome to dome. Cargo ships, lightly armed but armored, moved in erratic patterns. They hit alien vessels in ways the Varun never imagined. They fight for survival, not honor, Helen said softly. The battle continued for hours. Sergeant Ryan's Marines captured one Varun vessel entirely. Instead of destroying it, they disabled weapons and communications. Inside, the aliens struggled to understand what was happening. Humans worked without pattern. They repaired, adapted, and moved unpredictably. Finally, the Varun fleet began to retreat. Some ships were lost, others were heavily damaged. Their orderly lines had broken. Zerk, commanding from the flagship, was shocked. How? He demanded. They should have been destroyed. They are inferior. Their technology is weaker, his officers tried to explain. They do not follow rules. They act outside patterns. They adapt during combat. It is unpredictable. Zerk's gray eyes narrowed. Unpredictability. It was not weakness. It was something he had never faced. On the human side, the crew of the Venture regrouped. The Marines returned from boarding. Ethan checked systems. Maya patched communication channels. Daniel and Lisa gathered the reports. Casualties? Lisa asked. Minor, Ryan answered. All stable. We did not win completely, Daniel said, but we sent a message. Humans can fight in ways they cannot predict. Admiral Scott received the updates on Earth. He leaned back in his chair, reviewing the battle maps. They underestimated us, he said, and that is the problem. Humans are not the strongest yet, but we are adaptable. They cannot fight what they cannot understand. Zerk did not sleep that night. He reviewed every recording. Human ships, human fighters, human Marines. They were not the best trained. They were not the fastest. But every move was unexpected, every attack creative, every defense clever. Discipline alone does not win wars, he muttered. They survive because they refuse to obey rules. The Varun Council convened. They saw the battle reports. Some members argued humans were weak and unorganized, therefore they should be destroyed quickly. Others feared the unpredictability. We cannot predict them, Zerk said. We cannot assume victory by strength or pattern alone. This is dangerous. Meanwhile, humans repaired the colony. Governor Helen oversaw the cleanup. Children returned to play. Scientists resumed their work. Farmers tended fields. Humans treated their wounded. They rebuilt quickly, ready for the next attack. Captain Grant met with Daniel and Ryan. They will return, she said. Let them, Daniel replied. We are ready now, and next time we will not just survive, we will fight back in ways they cannot imagine. The Horizon-class ships moved back toward the Arden system, scanning for remnants of the Varun fleet. Ethan tweaked engines. Maya monitored alien signals. Ryan trained Marines for new boarding tactics. Every crew member understood one thing. Humans had shown that survival was more than strength. It was creativity, unpredictability, and courage. Far away in the heart of the Dominion, Zerk prepared for a larger invasion. He ordered fleets to assemble. He studied human tactics carefully. He wanted victory, but he now feared it would not be simple. He did not yet know that humans were learning faster than he could anticipate. Every encounter made them smarter, faster, and more adaptable. The small victories at the Arden colony were only the beginning. On Earth, the news of the battle spread slowly. Politicians argued. Scientists speculated. But among the fleet there was a quiet confidence. Humans had survived their first fight with the Varun. They had survived against a disciplined, powerful enemy. And somewhere deep in space, the humans waited. They knew war had begun, and they were ready to show what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. The galaxy would soon learn that humans fought not like others, but in a way that could not be predicted, a way that could not be broken, and a way that would change the course of the coming war. The first real battle was over. The war had only just begun. Humans had survived. And that survival was only the start. The Varun Dominion was not used to losing. Their fleets had crushed dozens of worlds with ease. But humans were different. Humans had survived, and worse, humans had fought back in ways that made no sense to the aliens. Zerk Tal, commander of the Varun fleet, returned to the Dominion's core system. He stood before the council in a vast chamber filled with high pillars and dark light. Dozens of council members observed him. Some were old, their faces pale and lined. Others were younger, their eyes bright with confidence. "Our scouts report humans survived again," Zerk said, his voice low and tense. "They fight without pattern, they improvise, they adapt faster than our simulations predict." One council member, tall and thin, replied, "They are primitive, they have limited technology, their victory is a fluke, we can crush them with overwhelming force." Zerk shook his head. "This is no fluke. Humans think differently, they act unpredictably. We cannot fight them like other species. If we underestimate them, we risk disaster." After hours of debate, the council voted. The decision was made. A full invasion fleet would move toward Earth. Zerk would lead it personally. The Dominion sought to end the war quickly, before humans could adapt further. On Earth, Admiral Nathan Scott received intelligence of the incoming fleet. He leaned over a holomap in the command center. Dozens of ships, thousands of weapons, and millions of soldiers were moving through space toward the solar system. "This is not just a raid," he said. "This is a full-scale invasion. We cannot meet them with strength alone." Captain Lisa Grant stood beside him. Her cruiser, the Venture, had returned to orbit with minor repairs. Captain Daniel Brooks worked on the tactical plan. Ethan Cole checked every engineering detail. Lieutenant Maya Clark monitored communications, while Sergeant Ryan Parker trained Marines for rapid response. "We cannot fight them like the Arden colony battle," Daniel said. "We have to be smarter. We have to make them fight our way, not theirs." The plan was bold. Humans allowed the Varun fleet to advance deep into the solar system. The fleet seemed unopposed. Varun scouts reported empty defenses. Zerk Tal believed victory was certain. Humans had prepared hidden defenses. Weapons were placed on moons, in asteroid belts, and aboard disguised cargo ships. Engineer Ethan had built signal distortion fields that created false images of fleets. When Varun ships scanned, they saw human ships where none existed. Communications were manipulated by Lieutenant Maya, creating false orders and fake arguments to confuse the enemy. When the Varun fleet reached Mars orbit, they saw what appeared to be scattered, weak forces. Zerk smiled, certain that the humans were cornered. He ordered a full assault. Then the trap was sprung. Hidden rail platforms in the asteroid belt fired. Massive kinetic strikes collided with the alien fleet. Small drones detonated in unexpected places. Human fighters emerged from hiding, striking from angles the Varun never expected. Even cargo ships, thought to be unarmed, fired weapons. The fleet was in chaos. "They underestimated us," Daniel said quietly, "and now they pay." On Luna, Varun troops attempted a landing. Sergeant Ryan and his Marines were waiting. Humans did not meet them in open fields. They fought inside tunnels, abandoned stations, and urban areas. They controlled light, shutting down systems to create darkness, then striking from the shadows. Buildings were collapsed to trap Varun units. Weather control satellites were used to create fog and interference. Humans adapted constantly, turning every disadvantage into an advantage. Zerk's flagship took hits from multiple directions. His officers were confused. "Formation is breaking," one shouted. "Ships are not responding." Zerk clenched his hands. He had never seen this. Humans were improvising, attacking, retreating, adapting faster than he could anticipate. Ships that should have been destroyed survived. Small units disabled much larger ships. It was not strength that defeated them. It was unpredictability. Captain Grant coordinated the human fleet. She used decoys, electronic interference, and careful timing to hit the enemy in weak spots. Captain Brooks, despite being injured from a previous battle, directed tactical maneuvers, predicting the enemy's responses and setting traps. Ethan worked feverishly to keep damaged engines and shields running, improvising repairs that seemed impossible. Inside the Varun flagship, Zerk watched a human fighter strike a support vessel, then disappear without being detected. He saw Marines disable weapons systems and escape, leaving the aliens in confusion. "They fight to survive, not for glory," Zerk muttered, "and that makes them dangerous." After hours of fighting, the Varun fleet was in disarray. Ships collided, supply lines were destroyed. Command structures were broken. Zerk realized the invasion was failing. The humans had turned their strength against them. Clever traps, adaptability, and unpredictability made the difference. On Earth, Governor Helen Moore oversaw damage control on colonies. She ensured civilians were safe and resources were distributed. Children returned to play, while adults repaired shelters and food systems. Humans focused on survival, not pride. Sergeant Ryan trained new Marines. He taught them improvisation and creative thinking. "Rules are for losing," he said. "Think, adapt, survive." Captain Brooks watched from the Venture's bridge. He felt relief but also fear. The war was far from over. Zerk Tal would regroup. The Varun would return stronger. But humanity had proven one thing: they could fight differently. They could survive against an enemy that thought it had all the answers. Zerk Tal, in his damaged flagship, realized he had underestimated humans. He studied every detail, every tactic, every movement, every unpredictability. He understood that humans were not strong like the Varun, but they were dangerous in a way no other species had been before. The Varun fleet began a slow retreat. Ships limped back to repair points. Command chains were rebuilt. Zerk was silent, thinking. Humanity had shown a new kind of combat: creative, emotional, unpredictable. On Earth, the human fleet celebrated quietly. Small victories had been won, but no one cheered loudly. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. The humans had survived, yes, but the Varun were not finished. Captain Grant met with Captain Brooks. "We did well," she said, "but they will come back, bigger, stronger, smarter." "Let them," Brooks replied. "We are learning faster than they think. Every encounter makes us better. Every battle teaches us something new." Ethan nodded. "And we have tricks they cannot imagine yet." Maya smiled faintly. "And we will be ready. We always are." Sergeant Ryan added, "They fight for order. We fight for life. That difference will win." Zerk Tal returned to the Dominion Council. He reported the failure of the invasion. Council members argued fiercely. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others warned caution. Zerk spoke quietly. "Humans survive because they do not fight like us. They do not follow rules. They adapt in ways we cannot predict. We cannot ignore that." The council listened, but some still doubted. Overconfidence had been their habit. Now it was dangerous. Meanwhile, humans repaired their ships. Colonies were strengthened. Engineers, Marines, and commanders worked together. Every small victory became a lesson. Every encounter improved their tactics. Captain Brooks often looked at the stars. He thought about the battles, the humans' adaptability, and the enemy's misunderstanding. He knew the war was far from over. The next fight would be harder, larger, and more dangerous. But he also knew one thing: humans were not easily broken. They survived because they thought differently. They acted unpredictably. They combined courage with creativity. They did not surrender to fear or strict rules. The Varun invasion had failed. Humans had survived, and that survival had changed the war. It had shown both sides that the old ways of fighting did not apply. Humans were not the strongest, but they were dangerous. And the galaxy was beginning to understand that the war had reached Earth's solar system. The human fleet, battered but alive, moved cautiously among planets and asteroids. The Varun fleet had retreated, but not completely. Damaged ships still drifted through the outer system. Command channels were full of scrambled messages, miscommunications, and false signals. Humans had learned to use every advantage. Captain Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the Venture. Her eyes scanned the star map. Captain Daniel Brooks was beside her, leaning on the console. Engineer Ethan Cole and Lieutenant Maya Clark were busy at their stations. Sergeant Ryan Parker moved among Marines, checking weapons and morale. "They are repairing in the belt," Daniel said. "We know their patterns. We can strike, but it has to be precise." Lisa nodded. "We cannot waste ships. We cannot waste lives." The plan was to end this conflict without destroying the enemy completely. Humans had learned that defeating strength was not always necessary. Sometimes, survival and adaptability were enough to win respect and force change. Hidden rail guns in the asteroid belt were activated. They launched kinetic projectiles toward the damaged Varun ships. At the same time, human fighters attacked from multiple angles, firing disruptor beams. Drones exploded near engines, confusing enemy sensors. The Varun could not coordinate effectively. Formation collapsed. Ships collided or drifted aimlessly. Zerk watched helplessly from his flagship. He had tried everything he knew: straight attacks, heavy firepower, coordinated strikes. Nothing worked. Humans anticipated some moves and created traps for others. Every time he thought he had them cornered, humans reacted in ways he could not predict. Inside a crippled Varun ship, humans boarded quickly. Sergeant Ryan led his Marines through corridors. Humans did not attack with honor or pattern. They moved with speed, striking only where needed, disabling systems, capturing control rooms, and retreating before the aliens could respond. Varun soldiers were trained for coordinated, synchronized combat. Human chaos broke their rhythm completely. Back on Earth, Admiral Nathan Scott observed the battle. He leaned on a console, silent. Governor Helen Moore monitored colonies and civilian safety. She knew humans had to survive, not just win battles. Rebuilding, recovery, and care were just as important as fighting. After hours of engagement, the Varun fleet was fragmented. Many ships had been disabled. Supply lines were destroyed. Command chains were broken. Zerk realized he had no choice. He ordered a retreat. The invasion had failed. The humans had survived against overwhelming force again. For the first time, Zerk saw humans not as weak creatures to be destroyed, but as a species to be understood. He requested a ceasefire. A human envoy was sent to meet him on a neutral station. Captain Lisa Grant and Captain Daniel Brooks prepared to receive him. Zerk arrived, injured but alive. He expected anger, punishment, or humiliation. Instead, he was greeted calmly. Humans did not seek vengeance. They sought understanding. "You have fought well," Lisa said. Her voice was firm but not hostile. "You could have destroyed us. Instead, you retreated. That is enough for now." Zerk looked around. Human engineers repaired ships nearby. Marines trained quietly. Civilians rebuilt damaged stations. Humans worked together without pride or ceremony. It was efficient, practical, and unexpectedly powerful. "Why spare us?" Zerk asked. "You could have destroyed every ship." Because that is not what we fight for, Brooks replied. We fight to survive. We fight to protect people, not to destroy. Your people are like us in that sense. You just do not see it yet. The Council of the Varun began to communicate with human leaders. They shared battle recordings, technical data, and tactics. Humans listened carefully. They did not mock or judge. They simply analyzed and learned. Zerk realized that human strength was not in technology, size, or numbers. It was their ability to adapt, improvise, and survive. Humans combined logic with emotion, planning with instinct, creativity with courage. Admiral Scott spoke in a meeting with human leaders. We are not the strongest species, he said. We are not the most advanced, but when we fight, we change faster than anyone expects. That is our advantage. Governor Helen visited damaged colonies. Children played again. Adults repaired fields and habitats. Humans treated the wounded and ensured no one was left behind. They learned from every encounter. They adapted systems, weapons, and strategies. Sergeant Ryan trained Marines in new methods: improvisation, observation, adaptability. He reminded them, survival matters more than pride. A clever move can save many lives. Rigidity will destroy you. Engineer Ethan worked on repairing the fleet and designing new adaptive systems. Machines that could be modified quickly, shields that could reroute energy in unexpected ways, drones that could change their patterns in seconds. Human technology was not perfect, but it was flexible. Lieutenant Maya improved communication systems. She worked on universal translators to prevent misunderstandings in the future. Humans had learned the first war started because of miscommunication. They would not make that mistake again. Zerk watched the humans carefully. He realized the truth. Humans are not predictable. They are not the strongest. They do not follow rules others understand. But when challenged, they adapt. They survive. And that makes them dangerous. The Dominion Council was forced to admit it. They thought they understood combat. They believed victory belonged to the strongest and most disciplined force. But humans had shown them that creativity, compassion, and unpredictability could be weapons too. A fragile peace treaty was signed. The Varun withdrew their fleets. Humans and Varun began careful exchanges of knowledge. Scouts observed each other. Trade began slowly. No one trusted fully, but everyone respected the other. Captain Brooks often walked among his crew. He looked at young officers learning, engineers tinkering, Marines preparing. He thought about the battles, the losses, the victories. Humans had survived. Humans had learned. Humans had changed the way war could be fought. Captain Lisa Grant oversaw rebuilding efforts. She ensured no one was left behind. She knew the next challenge would come. It always did. But humans had a new advantage now. They understood themselves better. Ethan continued improving ships, making them smarter and more adaptable. Maya worked on preventing mistakes that could cause war. Ryan taught Marines to think, not just obey. Every small effort built a stronger human fleet. Zerk returned to the Dominion. He spoke honestly with the Council. We believed we understood combat. We believed our rules and our strength guaranteed victory. Humans have proven us wrong. They do not fight like us. They survive in ways we cannot predict. That is the lesson we must learn. And the galaxy took note. Humans were not the most advanced. They were not the strongest. But when they were forced into war, they became something far more dangerous. They adapted. They improvised. And they survived. This was the truth the Varun and others had to understand. Human combat was not about weapons or fleets alone. It was about creativity, resilience, and unpredictability. It was about thinking faster than the enemy and never giving up. As humans repaired their worlds, rebuilt their ships, and trained their people, they knew the next challenge would come. It always did. But now, humans were ready in a way the Varun could never have imagined. The war had changed the galaxy. Humans had survived. Humans had taught a lesson about the nature of combat that no one would forget. and the galaxy knew, for the first time, that humans fought differently. And that difference made all the difference. The story ended not with destruction but with understanding. Humans had survived a war that could have destroyed them, and they had survived by being humans. They adapted, and that was what truly defined combat.